What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me on another beautiful Thursday. As you can tell, we are a little bit short-handed here today, as Jamie as we all know, in London for the Vikings game this weekend, then taking a little vacation after. But I'm still here in beautiful Minnesota. Actually, today actually feels like the first day of fall. I had to wear jeans to work today. It's always sad transitioning from shorts to jeans, but it really does now feel like football season, and it's a big week, as we all know. As we mentioned, game in London. The Vikings travel to London to take on the Jets, led by a very familiar face in Aaron Rodgers. So I promise I won't waste too much of your time tonight. We'll just get into some of this stuff, talk about the key points of this game, give some score predictions, talk a little Vikings football, and get out of it. But first off, before we start, I want to do what Jamie normally does, call out everybody that's already hopped in here. Thanks so much for joining me. Mike Sports Vibes was in way early this afternoon, giving his prediction 43-23 Vikings. We got Bob in here, 41-15 Vikings. I love the score. Let's hope so. Rap, how's it going, man? Had a good show with Rap last night, repredicting the Vikings schedule on Dave's channel on the Skull Experience. Thanks for joining. We got Mary. How's it going, Mary? 107 today. That's rough. Big Raylan, what's going on, my guy? Skull Mafia, thanks for hopping in. Who am I missing? Darren, what's going on, man? Hopefully, hey, Will Reichard, game-winning kick this week. Let's hope it doesn't come down to that, but you never know. It just might. And FT Maddie, man, how's it going tonight? Thank you so much for joining. But yeah, obviously, as we talked about, as the title says, the Vikings look to remain undefeated across the pond. Actually, that has a double meaning here. Not only, as we all know, the Vikings are 4-0 this season, but they're also 3-0 in London. They beat the Steelers, the Browns, and then the Saints, obviously, as we know, back in 2022. It's a big test, right? I mean, this Jets team presents a lot of challenges. I mean, there's talent all over the place. Obviously, we know they have Aaron Rodgers, who's done some nasty things throughout his career to the Vikings. They got Garrett Wilson, they got Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, two really good running backs over there. They have Mike Williams, who's a former first-round pick. They have old Viking Tyler Conklin over there. And then on defense, we all know about the talent. Will McDonald has 5 sacks this season. They have Quinnen Williams. Obviously, they're 3 deep at corner. So it's a very talented team. But if you look at from when I look at these two teams, the main thing you notice is the Vikings are just a better, more complete team, right? Like from ownership to GM to coach to players to positional to coordinators to positional coaches. Everybody's on the same page. And you look at this Jets team, and it's only week 5, and the cracks are already starting to show. Aaron Rodgers, Rob Saleh, you can tell, are just not getting along. We all know Rodgers is a personality. Obviously, he's a guy who's played so long. He should be he thinks he should be basically the coach of this team. Then you got a guy like Rob Saleh, he's mainly on the defensive side of the ball there. So the cracks are already starting to show, and we're seeing it 5 weeks in. I mean, they're 2-2. Their last game wasn't great, obviously against the Broncos. I know pretty crappy conditions at MetLife, but at the end of the day, they still lost like 10-9 or whatever that score was. So. Well, I think this is going to be a tough game, which we'll get into in a little bit here. I feel pretty confident going into this one. I heard that Rodgers' knee is pretty banged up, swollen knee, and Hall hasn't done that good. Exactly, and we'll get into a lot of that stuff later on here as we go through some keys to victory for the game here. Too Evil, what's going on, my man? D Vega, thank you for hopping in, appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, make sure, throughout the show, make sure to drop your score predictions in the comments there. I will be sure to give mine at the very end here. But yeah, let me know in general how you guys are feeling about this one. As I said, I understand the challenge that Aaron Rodgers and this Jets defense in particular presents. I get that, but at the end of the day, I'm going into this one. I'm feeling pretty damn confident that the Vikings walk out 5-0 and 5-0 on the season, 4-0 in London. And I'm seeing a good game from Sam Darnold here, even though the Packers defense on paper, when you look stats wise, looks pretty good against the pass, and we'll kind of get into some of that. Jets O-line is suspect, absolutely. And actually, when we get in, we can just maybe talk about some injuries here. As for the Vikings, injuries came up pretty clean. Everybody at least was limited in practice this week. Sounds like Ivan Pace was a full participant, so it sounds like he will be back this week. But you look at the Packers, Morgan Moses, their right tackle. He is officially out this week. He was limited today, but it sounds like he will not be out there. They already have his game status is out. Tyron Smith did not practice the last 2 days. Sounds like it was just vet rest. So he will be good to go. And CJ Mosley is also questionable, has been limited the last couple days. So, and as well as Elijah Vera Tucker was limited today as well. So those are all, that's three members of their offensive line on the injury report. So that's going to be a big one. And when we get into keys to victory, we'll talk about some of those other things as well. So yeah, I mean, injury wise, if you're a Vikings fan, it's all looking pretty good. I mean, I personally don't think that Ivan Pace is back, but I still think that they need to find a way to get Kamu in the game. In his two starts, he's had 2 interceptions and it should have been forced fumble. So I think you still got to try to work him in. Let me see what we got here. They said TJ is going to travel with the team. He is. They're opening up his practice window on Friday. They said he will practice in London on Friday, but obviously he ain't going to be playing. Still got to get into football shape and everything. So sounds like they're shooting for maybe the Lions, but most likely going to be that Thursday night against the Rams. We have to play 4 quarters and keep our foot on the gas and don't get conservative. Exactly. Hey, you're taking away we should probably get into my keys to victory. You're taking them all away from me. That's one of them. And that is one of them. And that's very true when we get into that. Vikings girl, thank you so much for hopping in. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining. All right. So some keys to victory here. Let me pull those up. So first one, and this is a big one to me. Don't let what happened half 2 of the Packers game snowball, right? And again, because obviously we all watched it, dominating first half. And again, I personally think that the team we saw in the first half and the first 3 seasons, first 3 games of this season are the Minnesota Vikings that we have. And Kevin O'Connell even said that during his post-game press conference. He's like, remember the feeling in the first half? We've been doing that a lot. That's the makeup of this team. That's the game plan. That's how we're going to win games. So the mindset of the coaches, the mindset of everybody on this team, I don't see it snowballing. And I think it was a little bit of a wake-up call that, yes, this team can be dominant, and they've proven that multiple times. But at the same time, you always got to play up to your standards. You always got to make sure the foot's on the gas, and you can't because it's hard to win a game in the NFL. Every team has talent, no matter how bad they are. And if you don't take them seriously enough, they will beat you. So, and as Kevin O'Connell says to Sam Darnold, don't compound a bad play. Don't make a bad play worse. Do the same exact thing as it comes to coaching and getting your players ready to play. Don't let one bad half of football ruin your season. And I think ruin the role that you've been on. And I think the first half of this Jets game in London will be very telling. If we come out and we do what we have been doing up until that second half, we're going to be just fine. If we see some of the things from the second half sneak in, might be a little bit concerning. But overall, I trust this coaching staff. I trust the way that this team has played so far this year. I trust everything about it to make sure that that this team's going to be ready to play, and they're going to come out firing against this Jets team that can be a little bit tough. And that's so the big one here, as we mentioned, Aaron Rodgers is a little bit dinged up. His offensive line, he's already going to be missing his right tackle. Left tackle has been resting. Their center was on their injury report today. Get after Aaron Rodgers. As Vikings fans know, even if you do pressure the Aaron Rodgers of old, he can always find a way to hurt you. And I think now that he's not on the Packers, I've kind of enjoyed watching Rodgers play football. You can see some of the things that made him a 4-time MVP and a future Hall of Fame quarterback, right? But as you watch him play on this Jets team, you're not seeing you are seeing some of it, but you're seeing a lot of the age show through. And he got sacked 5 times last week. So the big thing is, don't let him do his escapability thing. Don't let him extend plays. Don't jump off sides. Don't be late. Don't have late subs. We don't want none of that stuff. You can't have any of that going on here. You got to play pretty good football against Aaron Rodgers. But the fact that his offensive line is dinged up and he was sacked 5 times last week, you can get after him. Keep him in the pocket. Get pressure on him. Bring him down. Do what you have been doing. And Brian Flores, I think, especially after last week, I think he wants to come out this first half. I think he's going to want to prove that second half of the Packers game was a fluke. I think he's going to be aggressive. I think he's going to be getting after Aaron Rodgers early and often. Like I said, took 5 sacks last week. Get after Rodgers. And I mean, another big thing too is contain that run game. Make Aaron Rodgers have to beat you with his arm from the pocket. Contain the run. I mean, obviously, as we've talked about, Breece Hall isn't having his best season, but he's still talented out of the backfield and a real sneaky runner. So make sure. So you got to keep him in check. Braylon Allen's been playing well as well out of Wisconsin. So you got to keep both those guys in check. But I personally don't. I think Brian Flores is going to have a good plan. As he's shown, he's game planning specifically for the team he's going against. I think he's going to be aggressive. I think he's going to have a good plan against Aaron Rodgers. And like I said, I think we're going to get after him early and often. I think we'll match that 5 sack number that we had last week, or that he had against him last week. On the Vikings offensive side of the ball, get Aaron Jones going early. The Packers, I believe, so far they're 20th in the league against the run this year, allowing 128 rushing yards per game. And Aaron Jones has been a spark plug for this offense. He was something we were missing last year. I truly believe that Kevin O'Connell didn't trust Alexander Mattison and Ty Chandler of the last year to really operate the run game at a high level. Now that he has a guy like Aaron Jones, who good player on the field, good person off the field, all that type of stuff, is putting up really good numbers so far in his first 3 weeks. He's got to be the tone setter for this game. And as we'll talk about, the Packers pass defense is pretty solid. So get after him with the run early. In that way, you can get the play action going. And give Darnold more time to distribute the football and keep playing at the high level. He got the Offensive Player of the Month of September award today. So just run the football, and everything's going to be okay here. It's really going to open up the pass game. Hey, Two-Tone, thank you so much for hopping in. Keys to victory, Will the Thrill. I think he's going to have some big kicks here. I think he's going to have some big kicks. Jones will get 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think so too. I think against this Jets run defense that is, as I said, proven to be pretty shaky so far this season. I think he's going to have a good chance to have another big game, bigger than he's already had this year, and he's had some really, really good games. Fourth key to victory: keep Darnold upright. As I said, they have Will McDonald, who has 5 sacks so far on the season. And they also have Quentin Williams up the middle. Only 1 sack this year, but we know what Quentin Williams can do. I mean, he was a top 10 pick for a reason. And the big thing is, you look at this Packers. Aaron Rodgers gets me saying Packers. You look at this Jets pass defense. They are second in the league, only allowing 100. I believe it's 100, just like the rushing game, 128 yards per game to opposing offenses through the air. Which I think that number, it's a little fluky. Because you go and look at their schedule. So far this year, they played the 49ers in week 1. And I believe Jordan Mason had almost 200 all-purpose yards and 150 on the ground and 2 scores on them. So, I mean, 49ers didn't have to pass that game. Then after that, they played the Titans, who we have seen what Will Levis, and I've taken a bunch of crap for this. I was a Will Levis believer. Obviously, that hasn't gone so great. I was very wrong, and I will take ownership of that. Apologize for ever thinking that Will Levis would have been a good quarterback. But they played the Titans, who can't move the ball through the air, even though they do have some weapons there. They played the Patriots, who, look, I still believe Drake May is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in this class, but Drake May is not the answer to the Patriots' problem. The Patriots have no offensive line. They have basically no receivers. They have like 2 or 3 rookies or first-year guys, none of them which have really stepped up for them. And the running game, when you're playing, when the Jets played them, they couldn't get the running game going. So then they played the Jets, and then they played the Broncos in terrible weather, and Bo Nix finished with 60 passing yards, and Cortland Sutton had 60 receiving yards. So yes, I think those numbers are a little inflated. I think the numbers are fraudulent. Again, the Packers have Sauce Gardner, who is one of the best corners in football. They have DJ Reed on the other side, and they have Michael Carter as their slot corner or the nickel corner. They're talented, yes, but they're going to be lining up against the best receiver in football, Jordan Addison, who's got a first-round pedigree, and as well as Jalen Naylor, who, when he's not muffing punts, is a very solid wide receiver 3, and he's proven that so far this year, especially stepping in for Jordan Addison when he had the ankle injury. So, yes, the numbers on paper look great for this Jets defense, but when you look at the quality of teams that they've played, they have not seen a team like the Vikings yet this season. They haven't seen a team that operates their offense. I mean, the Shanahan offense and the O'Connell McVay offense, they're similar, but O'Connell is definitely more of a pass-first guy, where in that game against the Niners, it was definitely a run-first atmosphere there. So I guess the big thing with this one is if you get the run game going, Darnold's going to have a lot more time in that pocket. And I don't care how good those corners are. If you get the play action game going and you protect Darnold well against his pass rush, Justin Jefferson will find a way to get open. Jordan Addison will find a way to get open. Jordan Addison actually had 100% separation rate last week against the Packers. So I do think this Jets pass defense can get got. And I think they're probably walking into this game looking at those numbers, feeling a little bit high on themselves. You can get after them. And Darnold has been playing really, really good football. I mean, offensive player of the month of September, up there in the MVP conversation at this point, even though, which sounds crazy to think about. But keep Darnold upright, give him some time in the pocket. These receivers will find a way to get open, get the run game going. I think we can get. I think we can definitely get after this Jets defense. Kinetic, what's going on, my man? Thank you so much for hopping in. Finally, last key to victory: no fear, don't get conservative. So Kevin O'Connell last week after the game against the Packers, he hinted that he didn't necessarily take the foot off the gas. He said it was more the Packers made adjustments on defense and they didn't make adjustments back. I think on both sides of the ball, I do think that there was some conservative play calling and just some questionable play calling as well. Mainly, I look back to before the muff punt, the drive where you stop. You get the Packers get the ball back, you stop them, and they're punting, and then but before then we gave the ball back to them. And before the muff punt, we had like 3rd and 1. We threw it deep, which didn't work. And then we tried to hit Powell over the middle, and Powell got knocked around, left the game, which led to Naylor having to return the punt. And then after that, you can just tell. I think there's a little bit of clenching that maybe like, hey, the Packers might work their way back into this game, so we just have to try to wind some clock after losing the momentum there. You allow the Packers to get the momentum back. No momentum shifting here. Come out, play. I mean, and so far this team has shown, other than that first drive in the Giants game, that they will come out attacking early and often on both sides of the ball. Do that, and if and when you build a big lead on this Jets team, don't slow down. Don't do what you did last week. Don't take your foot off the gas. Keep the high pressure defense going. Kevin O'Connell, keep throwing the football. And I think I think they're going to. I think they learned a lot as a team, coaches, players, all that from last week. And I think that they are going to carry that into this week. And the thing I liked on those last 2 drives, O'Connell didn't just try to run the clock out and punt. He had Darnold throwing the ball. Darnold's playing the most confident, best football of his career. So just keep doing that. Keep instilling your confidence in him. Keep your confidence up in the players. No fear in your play calling. I don't care what the score is at halftime. Keep going. Keep pushing the envelope. And keep trying to win this game. Keep the pressure on the Packers, Jets. Sorry, and everything's going to be great. I think this will be a tight game early because I mean the Vikings and Jets. I believe they are. In total defense, I believe they're 4th and 5th consecutively, respectively. Vikings 4th, Jets 5th. So respectively, they're both top 5 in overall defense this year so far. But again, I think there's a lot of fluff, behind the Jets defensive numbers. I think Aaron Jones is gonna have a big game in London. Absolutely, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, the Packers, Jets, sorry. 20th in the league, allowing 128 rush yards per game. So you can definitely get after them there, which again opens up the passing game. If KOC keeps up with the conservative play calling, he's going to cost us games. I don't know. True, absolutely, but I don't foresee a scenario in which that happens again. Like I said, I think that they learned a lot from what happened last week against the Packers. So I don't foresee that happening again here. So as I said, feeling pretty confident about this one. A lot of things on the line. Undefeated records on the season. Undefeated record in London. So again, after a week like you just had, hanging on against a division foe, coming back, you go to London and then you get a bye week after that. I think you're going to want to go into the bye week with all the momentum in the world, especially knowing that after that you have a tough divisional test at home against the Lions, whose offense has been clicking again, going against a pretty depleted Seahawks defense. But there's a lot of weapons on that Lions offense. So I think you're gonna want to come into this game. You're gonna want to put the gas down. Go into the bye week feeling good vibes. It's going to be a long ride back from London. You want it to be a happy one. Not one where you're questioning what kind of a team you are going into your bye week. I think everything that happened last week, I think we're going to erase it. I think Rodgers has done a lot of things to the Vikings over his career, but I don't think any of those hold up this week. I think we go into London, and I think we do pretty well in this game against the Jets. Again, I think there's going to be that feeling out process early. I think it's going to be a tight game early on. If you're asking me for score predictions, I think I might have said a different one last night. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 27-17. I think it's gonna again. I think it's gonna be tight early. I think we're gonna go up a touchdown late in the third quarter, and then I think things are going to go a little back and forth. And then in the fourth quarter, Will Reichert is going to hit a big field goal in London. Let's call it 52 yards. Hit a 52-yard field goal, putting the Vikings up by 10, and at that point, they're never looking back there. So that's going to be my prediction. I think we do come out undefeated undefeated in London, undefeated on the season. I think the Vikings go into the bye week after the London game at 5-0. Overall, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. And again, so if some matchups, I guess, if you want to talk about those, that I'm excited to watch. I think we got a little Sauce Gardner versus Justin Jefferson a couple years ago when we played the Jets. I'm excited to see that one. And again, I'm curious. I think DJ Reed had lined up on him a little bit as well. So I'm curious to see, or maybe it was Sauce Gardner out that last game. He might have been. But anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch JJ versus Sauce. I think that's going to be fun, and it's just going to be really because it's not like you can double Justin Jefferson, right? Like you can't put somebody else on his side because then you have Jordan Addison who came out last week, first week off of his ankle injury, put up a big game, had 2 touchdowns, 1 through the air, 1 rushing. So you can't double anybody on this offense because then if you go one-on-one with those guys, then you have Jalen Naylor, who's a really good wide receiver 3 out there as well. So I'm excited to watch how they're gonna defend our passing game. Justin Jefferson, I know he hasn't had the big gaudy numbers yet. I know he had the one obviously with the big play against the 49ers, but I think he's gonna have a good game against. I think he's gonna have a good game against Sauce this time around. I really, really do. And then obviously, as we talked about, Will McDonald on the left side of that defensive line. I'm excited. I don't know if they move him at all from side to side, but I'm excited that's going to be a good matchup. I mean, like I said, 5 sacks this year. I'm excited to see. I mean, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill have been playing really, really good football. They've been. I don't have the numbers here, but I feel like they haven't allowed much in terms of pressure and sacks, obviously. So I'm feeling pretty good about that matchup there. And then obviously, you got Quinn Williams up the middle. So it's just another test for that interior offensive line. I mean, obviously, Garrett Bradbury has been suspect. I mean, in the run game, they've been solid this year. But obviously, in the left side, I don't think we need to worry about. Blake Brandel is playing really, really well. But from the center right guard perspective, I know Ed Ingram has been questionable up to this point this year in his play. So it's going to be a big one. I mean, Quentin Williams is a monster. I mean, there's a reason he was one of the top picks in that draft class. So it's going to be it's going to be a fun matchup seeing if Bradbury and Ingram can hold up because that's what they're going to do. And then as for their offense, I mean, as I said, Breece Hall is a really good runner. I think he's pretty elusive. Then you got Braylon Allen, who's more of their head down bulldozer type back. It's going to be interesting to see how we go up against them. I mean, we've been doing a pretty solid job of holding running backs in check so far. So this is going to be another tough matchup as well. And then, out under their outside receivers, you got Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Mike Williams. I mean, that's a solid wide receiver trio right there. I mean, Garrett Wilson was a top pick in his draft class. Allen Lazard, we all know him and Rodgers connection, and Mike Williams was a first round pick as well. So, and I'm sure that they're going to look at what the Packers did last week, and I think that they are going to go after. They're going to go after Byron Murphy again. I mean, Stephon Gilmore's been playing really, really well. You don't hear Shaq Griffin's name mentioned at all, and that just shows how well he's playing back there. Had his first interception last week, so I think that they are going to pick on Byron Murphy. Again, Murphy, he was very questionable last week. He did have the interception and the forced fumble, which was absolutely huge. So, I think that they're going to pick on Byron Murphy. Hopefully, he steps up to the challenge. I believe I heard he allowed like 170 yards in that 1 touchdown last week. So, I mean, I hope Flores has a plan. Maybe give him a little bit of help over there wherever he's on. I'm sure they're going to try to line up and get Garrett Wilson matched up with him multiple times. So you're going to have a good plan to combat that. And if there's anybody I trust more than any coach I know to come up with a plan like that, I do think it is going to be Brian Flores. What do we got here for comments? Two-tone O-line in general playing well. They are, absolutely. I mean, if again, they've taken their lumps. Ingram is still, I do still think that when Reisner comes back, I do think there will be legitimate competition at that right guard spot. But overall, Darnold has time to go through his reads. He has time to distribute the football. They're opening up holes in the run game. I think part of that is them blocking, but also part of that I do think comes down to the elusiveness of Aaron Jones as well, which is something we didn't get with our running back stable last year. We need to play Nudie and see how he does. Yes, I do think so, because me and Jamie were super high on him. We thought he would be this year's Ivan Pace. But again, are they? I mean, I think there is going to be a little bit of concern about putting a rookie out there, especially when you're 5-0. But if teams keep picking on Byron Murphy and he keeps struggling, then that might be the only play you have, is giving some of these young guys a shot. Because I guess at the end of the day, how are you going to know? How are you going to know how they're going to be out there if they don't ever see the field? But again, I think they're going to stick to the status quo this week. Maybe with the bye week, if Murphy gets picked on again this week, maybe they'll have those discussions, change things up a little bit. But for now, again, I think he needs to get some playing time at some point this year, but I don't think it'll be this week, unfortunately. About to hit those clowns with the jet sweep. Let's hope so. Another Addison rushing touchdown. I would take it. Brandel is an absolute dog on the left side. Shout out to Dave, Minnesota Sports Talk Skull World. He was big on Blake Brandel last year as a swing tackle. You've been playing really, really well at that guard spot as well. Mark Phil, what is going on, my man? Thank you so much for hopping in. Bad news. I did some research. Looks like it's raining during our London game. Yeah, I mean, bad news, yes, but also even with the rain last week, the Jets really couldn't get that run game going, and we saw what happened with Rodgers in the wet conditions. It'll be interesting. I think. I mean, I like what we've been doing with Aaron Jones, and I do think we may have an edge there, especially with the Jets' weaknesses against the run as well. I do think that you're gonna have a shot to run the ball against them. So maybe the rainy conditions will help. Maybe that'll force us into the run game. And as I said, if they're pretty weak against the run, so I think we can combat that pretty well. And then obviously, you got to get the pass game going at some point. So just get the passes in when you can. Then we'll fight in the shade. Absolutely. But again, big game for the Vikings. A lot of undefeated streaks alive right now. Undefeated on the season. Undefeated in London. And as I said, my score prediction 27-17. I think we keep that up this week. Again, I think it's going to be a tightly contested matchup. Rodgers will get his, but at the end of the day, I think Brian Flores goes hard against Rodgers. I think we take advantage of a weakened offensive line missing their starting right tackle. And I think we get after him a bit. I think we get some good sack numbers on him, and I think the Vikings come away with a win. And I think we're going into the bye week talking about a 5-0 Vikings operation, who, as I said, has a big home game the fall after the bye against the Detroit Lions. So as I said, keys to victory: get the run game going, get after Rodgers. Don't let last week snowball. Give Sam Darnold adequate time to pass the football, and just no fear. Keep on the gas. Go into London. Take a win. Don't just get a win, and come home 5-0 and go right into the bye week. They haven't faced the defense like ours. Exactly. And as I said, that's what gives me a little bit more like confidence in this matchup. Is the Vikings are battle tested this year. The first 4 games, me included, thought we'd win maybe 1, maybe 2 of those games. We came out, we beat the defending NFC champions. We beat a team in the Texans that was a Super Bowl favorite. We beat the Packers on the road. I don't care that they were missing their top 2 corners. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care that Jordan Love was coming off an injury. You went to Lambeau, you survived a fierce comeback by them, and you came away with the win. We're battle tested. This Jets team is not. They have played pretty cake football teams so far. And Rodgers at this point, Rob Salah, Rodgers, and Nathaniel Hackett on that offense, they don't know what's coming to them. They have not faced a defense or a team like the Minnesota Vikings. And again, just how cohesive this Vikings team is compared to the rift you're already starting to see with the Jets. It gives me all the confidence in the world that this team is going to go into against that Jets team and strike them down. Will the throw from 60? I would like to see that only if we're up by 2 scores and it's not like a big situation like that. But I think Kevin O'Connell has all the confidence in the world in Will the Thrill to do what they can there. Score every quarter, exactly. Foot on the gas, be aggressive, put up points every quarter. Don't let the Jets breathe. Just keep on going. They barely got past Tennessee. Exactly. I mean, and that's yeah. I mean, they beat but they beat the Jets or they beat the Titans by a touchdown. Yes, they blew up the Patriots, but it's the freaking Patriots. And as we all know, that last week against the Broncos was not great. So again, then they have the same thing. Are they going to be coming in a little bit more motivated? Absolutely. I mean, they want to show that last week wasn't truly what they are. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers doesn't like that being the last thing he put on tape was 5 sacks and hobbling off the field, but I think they're going to come a little bit motivated. I don't think it's going to matter. Hey, what's going on, JD? Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate you joining. So yeah, I mean, anything else that you guys had before I hop off here? This game needs to be a Dallas Turner game. Exactly. Yeah, because I saw someone on Vikings Facebook, which of course, we all know how Vikings Facebook can be, saying that this is gonna be another failed draft pick by Kwesi. I hope there was some joking on there, but now Dallas Turner is going to be legit. I mean, he doesn't need to play all the time because of what we're doing on the defensive side of the ball with Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, as well as Pat Jones, who's having a resurgence here. So, who's going to make himself some money. So Dallas Turner hasn't needed to contribute, but he almost had a sack last week. And if they put him out there consistently, he's gonna do just fine. Can we just end Rodgers already? I'm sick of seeing that dude on TV. This may be the game. This may be the game. Again, hobbled, both of his legs are hurting him. Sacked 5 times last week, missing the right tackle. This may be the one. Hey, Big Raylan, thank you so much for the 199. Appreciate that, my man. Will jet lag be a factor? It sound from what Kevin O'Connell was saying yesterday. I mean, obviously they've done this a couple times before. I do think he said their training staff has a good plan, has a good plan in place for how to handle the time change. So I think they're going to be okay. I don't think it's going to come into play here. And again, both teams are having to go through it. And I think the home team, because the Vikings are technically the home team, I think they leave earlier too, don't they? I think they get an extra day to be there or something. And yeah, undefeated in London, so they know what they know what they're doing. I think they're going to be just fine. Rodgers is afraid of the hitman. Yeah. Rodgers did mention that when they were golfing this past summer, that Harrison Smith had to point out to him a couple times that he has 2 interceptions. I think we are undefeated overseas. Yep. Yes, we are 3-0 wins against the Steelers, the Browns, and then the Saints 2 years ago. So lots of positives for the Vikings. Again, I think everyone immediately after that Packers game felt a little bit, I saw some people saying it felt like a loss because you let them come back. Sure, yeah, in a way, but after you sit back and think about it, this Vikings team that nobody believed in is 4-0, already through the tough part of the toughest part of their schedule. So I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good. I think they're good. I think this Jets team is going to run into a buzzsaw in London. And I think our Vikings are coming home undefeated. So I think that's going to do it for me. I don't want to take up any more of your guys' time. Thank you so much for joining me. I am not 100% sure what we're doing on Monday. Jaime might try to hop on. We might try to do a post game on Monday. For him, it's going to be like midnight, 2 a.m., something around some late time like that. So we'll see what we can do there. I will be on Bleacher Report directly after the game, 11:30 to noon, talking about another Vikings victory and talking about a 5-0 Vikings squad. And yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff. So I'll be on Monday. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys enjoy the game on Sunday morning. If any of you are on the West Coast, I apologize. It's going to be an early football game, but we get football all day long, starting at 8:30, going through the rest of the day. Later, bro. Thanks for still having a show, even flying solo. Absolutely. We got to keep the show on the road, right? We got to keep talking Vikings football. We got to bring the positive energy, and we gotta keep it going. So thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll see you guys next time right here on the GG Sports Podcast. Skol Vikes.